When you hear the word K-drama, what comes to mind? For many, it's a cherished classic like Secret Garden or a sagu like Mr. Sunshine, or maybe newer hits like Goblin and Crash Landing on You. True Beauty, The Uncanny Encounter, Hospital Playlist, the list goes on. The term K-drama encompasses an impressively wide assortment of genres. But all of the dramas I've just mentioned have one unifying factor: Hallyu. Hallyu, or the Korean wave in English, describes the phenomenon of Korean popular culture which came into vogue in Southeast Asia and mainland China in the late 1990s. In this way, Korean movies, music, and television series that fare well internationally all fall under the Hallyu umbrella. K-dramas especially often rely on a sort of formula to appeal to as large an audience as humanly possible. These dramas tend to be apolitical, uncontroversial, and perhaps most relevant to this video's topic, painfully heterosexual. This isn't a hard and fast rule, of course. Now more than ever, minorities are being represented in Korean television. Still, most series tend to avoid discussing politics and hot-button societal issues. The prevalence of such dramas, however, doesn't negate the existence of less internationally successful series that do contain controversial themes. And one of these lesser-known dramas in particular stands out and, in my opinion, above the rest. Politically charged, countercultural, and outright radical for its time, let's discuss Life is Beautiful, dramas, and diversity. But before we talk about Life is Beautiful, it's important we discuss the writer at its helm, Kim Soo-Hyun. Kim has penned many of the most popular dramas in Korean television history, and ironically, actually wrote the series that inspired the Hallyu phenomenon in the first place, 1991's What is Love, which gained international popularity and acclaim after being broadcast on Chinese Central Television. In Korea Through TV Drama, author Kim Hwan-pyo writes that the streets were quiet around the airing time of Love and Ambition, one of Kim Soo-Hyun's most popular series, as practically everyone in the country was at home in front of the TV. The majority of Kim's work focuses on the traditional Korean family, with a particular emphasis on the struggles women face in a modernized Korea. Still, Kim has never shied away from addressing taboo subjects, and Life is Beautiful is undoubtedly the best and boldest example of her audacity. Life is Beautiful is the first primetime network drama in Korean television history to feature a gay couple, and astonishingly, a considerable portion of the 63-episode series is purely devoted to developing the character of young Tae-Sub, as well as his relationship with his boyfriend Kim Kyung-Soo. To put things into perspective, 2010 was the year Korea's Ministry of Justice planned to pass an Equal Opportunities Act, per recommendation from the UN, which would protect LGBT citizens from workplace discrimination. But the entire bill was eventually scrapped due to backlash from Christian lobbyist groups. To this day, there are no nationwide protections for LGBT people in South Korea. But incredibly, during this period of conservative outrage, Life is Beautiful aired nationwide, depicting two men in a healthy, happy relationship. Basil Glynn explains in his article about Life is Beautiful, Kim Soo-Hyun tackled head-on the issue of whether gay central characters should be included in mainstream television drama at a time when it was being publicly debated whether they should remain excluded from mainstream Korean life. And as if that wasn't already pushing the envelope, the couple become engaged and eventually marry through the course of the series. And yet, Life is Beautiful is rarely mentioned, if at all, in discussions concerning LGBT representation in South Korea. And because I feel like I'm the only person who's watched the show, I think I'm legally obligated to do it justice. So let's talk about it. Life is Beautiful aired on SBS from March 20th to November 7th, 2010. Set against the gorgeous backdrop of Jeju Island, the show follows a large, blended family's everyday lives. It's both the standard Kim Soo-Hyun family drama and the complete antithesis of it. Both parents, Yang Byung-tae and Kim Min-jae, are in their second marriages, with Min-jae leaving her first husband after discovering he is a bigamist. Both of Byung-tae's younger brothers are unmarried despite being in their mid-40s. And of course, Byung-tae's eldest son, Tae-Sub, is gay. In terms of the typical Korean family, this one is anything but. The show's setting is also noteworthy. Quoting Glenn again, "The island of Jeju is both an actual and symbolic setting for a family exiled from mainland Korea, and in the case of Tae-Sub and Kyung-Soo, from mainstream Korean drama as well." Kim Kyung-Soo in particular is literally exiled from Seoul after coming out and divorcing his then wife. He relocates to Jeju Island and enters a relationship with Yang Tae-Sub. And that's where the story really begins. In the beginning, Tae-Sub is characterized as soft-spoken and reserved, but with Kyung-Soo, he's an entirely different person. He's warm, outgoing, and even a bit flirtatious, a stark contrast from his cautious behavior at home.
뜨뜻미지근하다고 싫대요.
너 체했단 말이야?
네.
아이고, 너 그러니까 왜
도착했어?
뭐해?
전화 받지 뭐해? 뭐해?
전화하지 뭐해?
As actor Song Chang-yi puts it, Kyung-Soo is sort of a releasing channel for Tae-Sub. It's not like Tae-Sub has set up a wall against his family, but it is difficult for him to mingle with them completely because of his secret, while on the other hand, he can be himself completely in front of Kyung-Soo. To rephrase, Tae-Sub's cold disposition around his family is merely a front designed to keep them at arm's length. Especially for these first 20 or so episodes, Tae-Sub is just gripped by this immobilizing fear of rejection, and this depiction of anxiety and repression is pretty on the nose, especially for those from more conservative families like myself. More important, however, is how the show eventually addresses Tae-Sub's anxieties. Tae-Sub first comes out to Kim Min-jae, who, although initially taken aback by his confession, quickly becomes an unwavering pillar of support for her son. Conversely, Tae-Sub's father, who is pointedly less open-minded than his wife, does not react to this revelation with disgust. While homosexuality is a completely foreign concept to him, his first instinct is to shield his son from discrimination at the hands of his family and society at large. After recovering from his initial shock, Byung-tae's first words are, "How is he going to live? How is he going to live in this world?" Then to Tae-Sub himself, "I'm sorry, I was too arrogant. I just thought it was something that happened to other people. I thought it was something that I didn't need to care about." And finally,
여전히 내 아들이고 여전히 우리 자식이야. 달라질 거 눈꼽만큼도 없어. 그러니 절대 움츠러들 필요 없어. 적어도 네 엄마하고 난 완벽한 네 편이야.
Byung-tae's words embody his unconditional love. He doesn't need to understand his child in order to embrace him. It's a brilliant episode that makes me cry every single time I watch it. But all in all, Tae-Sub's coming out isn't the earth-shattering paradigm shift he dreaded it would be. His younger siblings, as well as his uncle Byung-jun, have no problem whatsoever with his sexual orientation. As younger brother Ho-sub later remarks to his sibling, "What difference does it make? When Kyung-Soo is with you, you look happy." Still, the series does broach the topic of homophobia. One of Tae-Sub's uncles causes strife within the Yang household by verbally attacking Tae-Sub following his coming out. Lee Soo-Hyun, Tae-Sub's brother-in-law, also harbors homophobic sentiments, but never really voices his disapproval publicly. Glenn argues that the family focus of Life is Beautiful and the commune-like existence that the Yangs enjoy actually enables the large family structure to serve as a microcosm of Korean society. It displays within it an array of attitudes towards Tae-Sub and Kyung-Soo, ranging from complete intolerance to unquestioning support and understanding. While providing this representational function, the unconventional family is also ultimately revealed as exceptional in its ability to transform, learn, and grow, resulting in a view of an alternative and more considerate version of society being offered that could be achieved if attitudes were to change. This is possible, at least in part, due to the show's considerable length. Life is Beautiful forsakes an overarching external plot in favor of examining the inner workings of its central characters. This approach, coupled with the series' impressive 63-episode run, makes for some incredibly compelling characters. Byung-gul, while being tremendously stubborn, ultimately mends his relationship with his nephew through the course of the drama. His constant interactions with Tae-Sub and the rest of the Yang family gradually chip away at his deeply ingrained prejudices. His transformation into a more tolerant, open-minded individual occurs over the span of 40 episodes, and is not strictly linear in nature, which then translates into his character development feeling earnest rather than convoluted. Tae-Sub and Kyung-Soo as well grow tremendously both individually and as a couple. This is undoubtedly my favorite characteristic of Life is Beautiful. Tae-Sub's relationship with Kyung-Soo isn't a brief footnote, but rather a significant aspect of the show that is explored in its entirety, from budding romance to long-term commitment. They are given as much, if not more, screen time than their straight counterparts. What really makes this crazy, though, is that they consistently express their love for each other. In episode 22, for example, Tae-Sub looks on with an expression of pure adoration as Kyung-Soo prepares dinner. Then the two embrace wordlessly as the music swells. These small, quiet shows of affection are a staple of the series that constantly underscores their devotion to one another. Simultaneously, Life is Beautiful avoids hyper-romanticizing its gay characters. This could be a byproduct of the series' slice-of-life approach, but Tae-Sub and Kyung-Soo's relationship is as rooted in the hustle and bustle of everyday life as their heterosexual peers. They cook meals together, they enjoy nights out on the beach, they bicker constantly and have the occasional argument. They stumble, but manage to reconcile their differences with healthy communication. And, as this video's title suggests,
괜찮지? 좋은데? 껴봐. 너는? 나도 껴야지. 어때? 좋아.
But, as expected, airing a same-sex wedding on national television was no easy task. Kim Soo-Hyun intended for the wedding to take place in a Catholic church. However, her plans were dashed after said church withdrew its permission for use of the location. SBS, eager for an excuse to downplay Tae-Sub and Kyung-Soo's relationship, ordered Kim to write the scene out entirely. However, Kim persisted and gave the network the metaphorical middle finger by having Tae-Sub and Kyung-Soo exchange their vows in an idyllic outdoor venue in the series finale. And despite the inevitable conservative backlash, the series did receive praise for its progressivism. In December 2010, the Korean Sexual Minority Culture and Rights Center presented Kim with the Rainbow Human Rights Award for the, quote, realistic depiction of the life of homosexuals in Korea, end quote. Following the drama's release, Jong-sun Kim conducted research to gauge the Korean public's response to Life is Beautiful's subject matter, and found it to have raised awareness and increased discussion about the issues facing sexual minorities in Korean society. Despite its positive critical reception, with Sung Chang-hee actually winning an award for his performance, Life is Beautiful has faded into obscurity in the years following its release. The series was never officially subtitled, and thus never exported overseas. In order to watch the series in full, I was forced to scour the internet for semi-pirated, unofficially subbed versions, and had to click through God knows how many hentai ads. The series wasn't a failure in terms of ratings, far from it actually. It was written by one of the most revered and commercially successful Korean screenwriters of its time, and it's one of her best works. So, what happened? Why have so few people heard of this drama? This is just speculation, but Life is Beautiful's eagerness to authentically engage with pressing social issues likely rendered it unsuitable for exportation overseas. In her drama, Kim Soo-Hyun heavily criticizes Korea for its intolerance of sexual minorities and champions progressive values. Her refusal to promote an apolitical, sanitized image of Korea made the series less palatable and thus less marketable. So in spite of the accolades, in spite of its immensely accomplished cast and crew, the series was left to gather dust. But I don't really want to end on such a bleak note. I think Life is Beautiful is a brilliant exploration of family dynamics and a refreshing alternative to the overly glamorized metropolitan Korea we often see in K-dramas. And I'm not just talking about this show because it's progressive, which it is. It's just a really damn good drama. It's an intimate, frank depiction of a blended family and is as unfaltering in its authenticity as its optimism. It's a show I have found and continue to find great comfort and reassurance in. So if this video has piqued your interest, I encourage you to give Life is Beautiful a shot. I guarantee you'll enjoy it. Thanks for watching.